I don't know if you guys saw that real quick, but that was Frank Castle.
Hey man, it's Kevin Smith.
Hey, this is Jay Music.
Hey, I'm Scott Snyder.
I'm Cena Grace.
And you're listening
to the Absolute Geek.
The Absolute Geek.
Absolute Geek.
Absolute Geek Podcast.
Check it out, Snoogans. Check it out, Snoogans.
Friday night in Phoenix. Woo! You're listening to the Absolute Geek Podcast.
Welcome everyone to Phoenix's greatest pop culture, geek, nerd, and comic book podcast in all the damn land. It is the Absolute Geek Podcast, and I am Matt.
I am Kyle Wolf.
I'm Jose.
I'm Brian.
And Brian, why don't you go ahead and introduce our guest tonight, Brian, and let's jump into this.
Yeah, everybody, we have a great guest tonight for our comic knowledge topic of the week from Birdcity Comics. This is Anthony, everybody. Anthony, introduce yourself.
Hey guys, I'm Anthony with Birdcity Comics, and I'm happy to be on the show and hanging out with you guys tonight.
So Anthony has an amazing channel on Facebook where he does live auctions, Birdcity Comics. Some of you guys have probably checked it out before. We've been talking about his channel for a while. He's doing something that I think is the future of comics, where we're going, outlets to sell, and we're really excited to talk about it tonight. Anthony, why don't you tell us what your show is basically about and how you go about doing your show?
Sure. So I got my team and myself. We broadcast Facebook Live videos. I always tell people we're a show before we sell comics. We just happen to do that on the side. And I think that's really important aspect of the whole keeping people interested. So I think you hit on some cool key stuff that this is the way it's going to be in the future. There's no offense to anybody that owns LCSs. They're great. And I will continue to shop at one and support my local ones. But it's more and more of this easy access that people want. So me, Kyle, and Matt have been watching the live feeds for a long time now. And there are some characters out there. There are some auctions that don't look as professional as the others. One thing I will say about Birdcity, it's probably the most professional one out of all the ones I've seen. You have something going on there that I think a lot of the other people aren't taking that route. Sure. There's a guy that we all know and love, Kyle.
I know you guys all love me. Thank you.
Yeah, the famous comic eater.
Slice.
Yeah. So we all know the professional side of the auctions. One of the things that I like about your auction that really blows me away is you and your wife are a team. And we talked about a little bit earlier in the pre-show how much work she does to make your channel run. And one thing that is always going with your channel is you guys are always have something going on. There isn't any dull time. Kyle kind of said it. You keep the viewers interested. Yes. How are you doing that, and what's the key to that?
With Facebook, I can tell you guys honestly, and this is going to sound terrible. I work in cell phones. That's my profession for the last 15 years. And I have not had Facebook until I started Birdcity Comics. Refused to do it. And once I first got on, I was afraid of it. So what I did was I spent a lot of time looking at my friends' profiles and how people like to live. And kind of what I determined is people want to show you the best of them in Facebook. So when I started building my show up, I thought to myself, if I was somebody that wanted to watch this, I want to feel like I'm a part of it, included, because everybody wants to be heard on Facebook. So that was the approach I took, is that I want to include people. I'm really big into nicknames because I'm terrible with real people's names, like their actual legal names. I won't remember it. Don't even bother telling me, except for you guys. I got you guys down. But, little things like, Chimichanga right there on the bottom, Matt. Yep, I got you guys. But little things like giving somebody a nickname personalizes it. So I do a lot of that personal interaction. I try to remember things. And then people feel like they're a part of my show. They're enjoying themselves. And then, oh, by the way, I have some comic books if you're interested.
How many viewers are you averaging a live stream?
Sure. So on the high, we'll hit in somewhere in the 40 range. We usually maintain in the high 20s to the mid 30s. Which is you're successful in that range. I can tell you guys didn't spend a lot of time in that range to start.
It takes a long time to get a following. It takes what did you have to do to get these regulars to come in and go from having, because I see a lot of people first time up, you see 4 people in there. So what did you have to do to bring those numbers up?
So with Facebook, especially since it's an online platform, something that you have to keep in mind that everybody's tougher and braver than they are because you got a keyboard as opposed to a 3D person. Oh, yeah. The reason why I bring that up is when you take into account doing something like Facebook, people are a little more critical because there's no repercussion of you telling them to their face. And then there's a big trust factor in that too, again, because you're on a virtual platform. They don't know me. I could be some crazy person, and these are high resolution scans. You just don't know. So it's harder to build that relationship with the online platform. So hence we took the approach of making people feel more included, like we know them. Things like that, because it just gets crazy. That trust factor is the hard part to build.
How can you explain your normal setup? I know that a lot of people out there do different things. One of the things I like is you guys will play little games. You'll, the books that you're selling. Explain your setup in the normal way.
So we've experimented. If you go back and watch my show from the beginning, I've had 1,000,001 setups before I found flow that worked. And there's little things people don't think about. So our first thing that we have is we use the OBS streaming software so I can do my video game overlays and make it look awesome. But some other things to consider, a lot of people watch the show in landscape mode on their phone. So something that you have to consider, the books need to be on this side, not this side, because the text bar is right here.
Yes.
Little things like that and details to make the experience better is really what comes in handy on stuff like that. So our setup's going to have 8 books because we found that when I put less than that and we have such a good following, we were flying through stuff too fast. And it was becoming a problem, so I had to increase the volume of books. We have a spin wheel, and this is where it gets fun. And it's just an automatic spin wheel, and you get $1 off of a purchase you've made. You get a qualifier to our giveaway books. And then we also have what we call it bird shit, which means you got nothing. So that's your lose. The cool thing with the bird shit button is the wife made up this game where, let's say I have a book for $50 and somebody comes in and lowballs the crap out of me, which is terrible, by the way. And they go, I'll give you 25 for it. So what we'll do is I'll come up with a price like 47, and then I'll give him 60 and say, spin me for it. People love to gamble.
Yeah.
So little things like that make it fun. Sometimes I get screwed out of a book, but it's so much fun and I almost don't care. It's like,
it endears your viewers to you.
You got it. And the best part is my wife's a terrible loser. So she screams and freaks out. I've seen her flip off the camera, and it makes it more fun to win against her. So people root. Yeah, so it turns into this big thing, and it's just a lot of fun. So
where did the name Birdcity Comics come from?
If you go to Google and you look at the Urban Dictionary and say nicknames for Phoenix, Arizona, Birdcity comes up.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's just in the Urban Dictionary, and I've always liked it. So, throw comics at the end of it, and it's something different from the Joe, Gotham City Comics. Nothing against those guys. Love you guys if you're watching.
Yes.
Big Rough. Those guys are awesome, and their shop is super cool. Before I say something crazy like that, but you get where I'm going with this. All the comic book names have been taken. It's something a little off the beaten path, I thought.
I like how you have the homage to Phoenix in there. We all love our city.
Absolutely.
So I really like that. I think that's very cool.
I thought it was important. People got to know where I'm from and what I represent, and where the best street tacos are in town. I know where that's at too.
How long did it take for you to get in a swing of things, from when you started to where you felt really comfortable?
Sure. And to be truthful to you, I'm still not comfortable, but I think that's what drives us.
Yes.
I question everything I do, and my wife drive her nuts with hey, should I do this? Should I tweak that? And it's just this big thing. But I think where I felt that I was making the right decisions, it was a while in. It wasn't until very recently, just because the starts are rough, and it's the repetition and the hours. There's so many hours that I put into just thinking about things like positioning of where the books are going to be, because it's all about the experience you get on your end. But yeah, I started feeling comfortable, honestly, about a few months back, and it was just like clockwork. I can break up and down my setup in 10 minutes. I got it to a time. I got my books ready to go, and we cruise now.
One of the way that I met Anthony was a friend of ours, a friend of the show. You guys all know Josh Garcia, the guy that likes to come on the show and not say anything.
We have two of those guys.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Josh had wanted to sell his collection that he had put a lot of time and money into, and it was just a beautiful collection. And me and Kyle, he came to me and Kyle at first, because we're friends with him, and said, "Hey, what do you guys think?" And we just didn't have the money to throw in on it. And he had said, "Hey, I got another guy that I became friends with. I see him at all the other shops, on Wednesday Warrioring and all that stuff." And I said, "Yeah, man, I think that's a good idea. What are you thinking?" And he kind of told me what the offers and what you guys were talking about, and it was a very fair offer. Anthony came over. Josh had the books at my house. Anthony came over, chat with us, looked through the books. Didn't try to lowball him. Didn't try to take advantage of his knowledge, his comic knowledge, and made a very fair offer, which blew me away right out the bat. And I think that is, me and Kyle talk about Jesse James comics a lot and the way Jesse James does things, and we really respect him because he puts a lot behind the karma thing. And that's one of the things that I respected about you, Anthony, is how you treated the people that you were buying the books from. Explain how you do that, and what when you buy a collection, and how people can get a hold of you and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I can tell you guys from a business standpoint, the lucrative end of a personal collection is much better than random book purchases. And I know that sounds a little mechanical, but when you get into the situation with Josh, that's personal. He put the time and effort into collecting that stuff. I mean, that was a piece of him. So for me to go in here and throw lowball cashes, I can tell you honestly, if he came at me with a price that I knew wasn't anywhere near me, I wouldn't have bothered him, because I don't want to have that awkward conversation and put a downer on hours that he spent cataloging that thing. I mean, it was crazy.
It was beautiful. It was, I think me and Kyle first went through it, and I want to say like half the collection was signed by multiple creators. He had a full Batman run by Snyder and Capullo, signed by both Snyder and Capullo, with all the variants signed by all the variant artists. It was beautiful. It was just
gorgeous.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that was that Batman New 52, and I tell you, that has not left this house. It's still here. It's still intact.
I was hoping that you would keep that. I felt really jealous when you walked away with those books, because they were just so cool.
I mean, it's one of those things. Is that I'm a believer in karma as well, and that there was so much love in that lot. I can tell you that night I came home, we unloaded all these boxes. My wife looked at me and she's like, "I'll go get 2 beers. You order a pizza. Let's do this thing." And it was the best night, just digging through it.
Oh, me and Kyle know how that is. There's nothing better than going through a new collection.
I know it's super, and you guys probably all agree, but there's nothing better than rebagging and boarding great comics.
I agree.
It's so sexy.
So do you have a lot of problems so there's so many people that are into this game of buying, flipping, selling, and I've noticed that the Valley has become very dry with comics because there's so many people fighting for these collections. Do you run into a lot of problems buying collections, or does it just has it been rather easy for you?
So back to Brian's point, it's been easier for me because these guys want to buy change on the comic, where if there's value there, and it takes a little longer. So I typically am close to the asking price. So it's not been an issue because they've heard the 30% mark of whatever they're asking. And they're already mad about that because they put all their time into it. I'm going to let it go for 30% of what they paid for it. So I cruise in, I see what it is. I always make them a counter. I tell them ahead of time, like, look, dude, I'm not going to offer you your price right now, but you say a number, I say a number, you say a number, we'll get to someplace nice. Usually they laugh at me and we start. So everybody's happy, and I've got books that have value.
Yes.
Have you found any real honey holes here in the valley? Because to me, those seems like they've dried up.
I've hit.
If there are, you could tell me off air where they're at.
I'm trying to think, man. You guys probably hit all the off spots I do. Zia, hit the Zias, and that's good for a hit every once in a while. I can tell you,
few far between.
Dude, I'm over Brass Armadillo. I don't know if you guys feel the same about that, but
I'm very over that. I was over that years ago. It's the same shit. But sometimes you walk in there and you find those, like the books you have behind you, the Hulk third print 377.
Yeah. What? I found that sandwiched between a dirty book.
Wow.
This collection I bought had some of that in it, and I looked and I was like, I better go through it just in case I missed something. So my wife and I dug through it, and I was hiding between pages. Thought that was pretty funny.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
What's your coolest score? Okay, go ahead, Brian.
Yeah. I was going the same route. What is your coolest score? What is the craziest thing that you've pulled out of collections?
Oh man, I had a collection that had 2 Batman Adventure 12s in it. Guy had no idea what they were, and I told him what they were, just so I didn't feel bad. But the lot was the lot; he didn't adjust anything on me.
Karma, man, karma.
It really is. The Hulk book I showed you guys at third printing, which I believe it's
right
there. That was
that thing's a unicorn for me and
man.
Brian.
So I don't know if you guys have watched my show, but I do live cleaning and pressing too. So I got that book probably about a 7.5-ish, maybe a little high. Cleaned it up to almost an 8.5. So nice.
When you come over here and we talk and we've been kind of talking behind the scenes about Anthony helping me maybe work on selling some of my stuff or something, and one of the things that me and Kyle have been trying to do for a while, where you just when you have a 9 to 5, it's so hard to keep in this hobby. But we went out and we bought a lot of pressing stuff, and I'd be very interested to pick your mind on that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
A lot of people hold that very close to their chest, and I understand why. It's very nice to have. It's nice to have more people doing it, so you can bounce ideas off each other. But it can be very dangerous.
Oh yes, it can. I've ruined a couple books learning how to do it. So
yes.
But I thought that ahead of time, so they were books that I could absolutely ruin and not feel terrible about.
I mean, it wasn't your first appearance of Deadpool.
What's funny is I was holding it and something similar like that, and I was like, I'm going to start on this one. I thought, that's probably a terrible idea.
Yeah, we know that we've put a lot of fodder away thinking that we'd be able to press it, but that's a whole nother ball game.
So
for sure.
Do you mainly buy other collections, or are you like part of the groups that I see outside the comic book store as soon as they open Wednesday morning, long box in hand, ready to snipe all the good stuff that just came out?
Right. I started that way. I was that guy. So first at the door at LCS is Wednesday, so not so much anymore. I've kind of built up a rhythm of what people like, so I have my regular box subscription, so I go pick up on Wednesdays. But most of the time it's big comic lots. I've been blessed, like I told you guys. I got my wife as a partner, and she researches the hell out of stuff. So she'll send me links in the middle of the day, and I know it's something comic book related, and she'll track me down some good collections.
I remember when you came over here to look at Josh's books, you made the comment that your wife really surprised you when I think it was a Carnage, first appearance of Carnage that she had gotten you, and it was kind of like that aha moment where you went, oh, this is working out really well. I got my wife out there researching, and
guys hate me because I got her hooked into the comic game with that 361. She found it at a yard sale for $6. We graded it at a 9.6. It's coming back Friday or next Friday.
Wow.
$6 Carnage. So she was hooked at that point. But with my wife, it's one of those things, once she's in, you got to kind of push her in the pool to get her committed. and I took her around to my regular route, and she was in from there.
That's very cool.
Yeah, it was sweet.
So, some of the other live sellers out there that that you watch and that you enjoy, do you have anybody else out there? I mean, not to take viewers away from your live stream, but what are some of the other guys out there that are doing good things?
I kind of Joe Thomas. I don't know if you guys have met her, but that's Coffee with Comics. She kind of mentored me early on as far as how to deal with people, because it's definitely different from the face-to-face interactions. Everything can be screenshotted, which I had to start learning. Anything I say, there's proof. So she really mentored a lot of that for me, and I enjoy her banter. Obviously as a seller, I'm not looking to buy a whole lot, so I just enjoy a good show. So yeah, them for sure. There's a couple guys that have stopped doing it that I kind of miss. So I used to be part of a group called the Comic Ninja, and Dave was another one that kind of helped me out and got me moving in the right direction. So
I think I was in their huge Facebook Messenger group chat that they had.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one.
Oh my god, it was insanity.
Especially when people were going. Like, no open-ended questions on there. You were screwed.
Yeah.
Well, I think that, like we said, this is where the comic selling is going. I think that a lot of the comic, as we know, Jesse James is big on the live auctions and he's pulled a lot of other local comic shops in. I think that you, Anthony, and Birdcity Comics has really taken a huge leap forward in being, one of the non-comic shops that's doing this and doing it well. Very interested to see where this goes.
Sure.
And to see how good it can become. And, like we were talking, I really hope to work something out in the future and try and jump into this pool, as you would say.
Yeah, for sure. Being pushed in the pool. Man. Yeah. It's telling you, it's something else. It's definitely different. So I hope you're ready.
So you guys, if you want to see Anthony's live auctions, where can they find you, and what's the best way to get notifications?
Sure. So guys, head over to the Birdcity Comics Facebook page. You get a lot of my postings there. We also have our own group. It's the Birdcity Comics One-Stop Shop. Make sure you subscribe to that, and then just hit the little belly thing. I think that's what it is. So yeah, hit that thing, and you'll hear from me. I try to only post once a day, so I won't drive you crazy. I'm pretty strict on that. So.
And how often are you doing the live auctions?
Typically, it's twice a week. So we go Mondays for sure. We've been teetering Friday and Saturday, depending on what happens with the home life. In the Birdcity Comic group, I created that group to keep everybody active. So I got a couple other sellers that are in there that do reply auctions just to keep everybody happy and hanging out. And then I hit them with the live stream. So
hit them with the live stream.
What are some tips and tricks that you'd be willing to offer to someone who's maybe interested in getting into this game? Not to take away from your business, but we do have a lot of people all over the world that listen to the podcast that might be interested in this, and just some quick tips and tricks that you might be willing to throw out for them.
Sure, yeah, and I'm always willing to help. If anybody has a question, just reach out to me. Competition just drives the market, so I would tell you guys honestly, before camera, before the look, that those are great. Audio, good audio. I can tell you, I have stopped watching very specific local sellers because when they yell, the crackle of the mic drives me crazy, and I'm kind of over it and I'm out. Mm-hmm. Audio is huge. It sounds great, then make it look great. You can throw up garbage books with a terrible personality, but you got a good looking and a good sounding show, people will watch it. And then just focus on your content. Make sure you go in with a plan. It doesn't have to be specific, but just have an idea, whether it's something related to what you're selling for the night or a topic you want to touch on just for filler time. We try to theme our shows with the background. It's funny. I even try to color coordinate it to whatever my wife's going to wear to DJ the thing. Like she does 15 minutes of camera check. I can tell you that it's a thing.
I was going to ask, what was the learning curve like on the green screen and the you said you use the LBS? Is that what it is?
Oh, it's OBS.
OBS, that's what it is.
Yes. Yeah, OBS. The open broadcast software?
Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of gamers use it. So they can do overlays. Yeah, it's good stuff. But it's the lighting is terrible. I'm not going to lie to you, because you get these bags and you catch them in the studio lighting, which I've got a studio light here and in back of me. So you got to angle them just right, and it's a lot of tweaking. And moving the camera and don't move your head this way. And
Yes.
but yeah, and that stuff drives me nuts. So I got to have it look right. But yeah, that's a rough part.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I've noticed, and I've talked with Matt, picking Matt's brain a lot with the pod, being a professional podcaster, as Matt likes to let everybody know. One of the things is the learning curve with some of the software. I always thought that technology, especially computers and PC stuff, and I could figure out pretty easy. And there's some software out there that has a pretty steep learning curve.
Oh man!
So I think definitely research that. If that's some route you want to go, don't just jump right into one. Go watch videos.
Yeah, and that's a good call. Like start with something basic and just keep building the layers on top of that so you get it to where you want it to be. That's the best way to learn it, to get comfortable with what you're doing. Like I can tell you, I kick my camera all the time, but I know where the thing's supposed to be lined up, and I can set it back up like nobody's business, and it's still lined up perfectly.
Yeah.
So it's little things like that. You got to get comfortable with your setup because it's a working space. There's a lot of running around in the background, and I can knock something over no problem, but you got to know what's what and how to fix it if you do it.
On the spot.
Oh man.
Well, I really appreciate you coming on, and you're more than welcome to hang out. And I know you said you might have to bail out, so whenever you have to bail, don't feel bad about it. You guys got any more questions? I definitely want to segue into that book he just held up there.
Yeah. I didn't even think of that.
Yes. That deceased book. Was that number 4 that you held up there?
Yeah, it was one of my guys had me pre-pull it, so you got all 3 covers here.
Yes. So we've been talking about that for the last day or so, pretty heavy. Did you read it, Matt?
No.
Did you read it, Jose?
No.
Okay. Spoilers. I'm going to let Kyle go ahead and explain how this one played out, because this is one of the coolest things that I've seen in comics in a long time. So,
I mean, if you've read Deceased, you know that Batman was turned into a zombie early on. And it's kind of cool. I mean, it was a decent read. You were going through it, and they're kind of trying to figure out what to do, what's going on. And Penny walks up to Damien and hands him this briefcase. Like,
who's this, Alfred?
Yeah,
Alfred.
I call him Penny.
Yeah.
And he opens it up, and it's the
Cape and the Cowl.
The Cape and the Cowl. And he tells him, he said, he's never told you this, and he should have, but this is always meant for you. And I was like, damn, that's badass.
I know, man. I'm a huge Damien fan. Kyle's a big Damien fan. I mean, I geek out over stuff like that. I geeked out when Dick got the Cape and Cowl in Prodigal. I geek out anytime the Cape and Cowl goes to somebody other than Azrael. So I thought it was a very cool last page, the way they showed it, and to have Alfred give it to him. It kind of I hate to say it because it sounds cheesy, but it almost brought a tear to my eye, man. It was freaking cool.
Is that going to transition into anything moving forward? Because that sounds like a good plot point that might just be wasted on this 6-issue miniseries.
Well, it is an Elseworlds tale, right? I think they're billing it as an Elseworlds tale. Does that sound right? Does anybody know? I mean, Anthony, you got it in front of you. Does it say an Elseworlds tale on any of the trade dress?
It doesn't. And what makes me think, too, if it's an Elseworld, when you get it CGC'd or CBCS, will they count that as first time that Damien was offered the cowl from Batman? Is that now a key?
That's a good question. We all know, I think it was, Batman 666, where it's like a future story where Damien's wearing the cowl. But yeah, that's definitely the first time he's in continuity, I guess. But it's not in continuity, so that's the one thing.
Because the only other person, well, other than him, other than Azrael and Terry McGinnis, would be Dick, who's been offered it, right?
Dick Wharton Prodigal.
Yeah, but that's considered canon with Battle for the Cowl and between him and
Dick,
Tim and.
Dick also wore it in a Wonder Woman book. They had to trick the Joker, I think it was, and in order to trick him, Dick wore the cape and the cowl. So I can't remember the number of that one. Old Wonder Woman book back probably early 80s stuff.
Wasn't there a DC movie too? It was like Bad Blood, where he had to wear it and fake being Batman because Batman was like a zombie at that point too, or something.
I didn't see that. I'm not sure. But
I don't know if that's based on a book, but that would be
that does go into Titans. Did you guys see the Titans trailer? Wow.
So are they moving the DC app over to something else, or is that what's going on with it, or is it still where it's subscribing to, or what?
Matt, is that going with the Warner Brothers?
No, nobody knows for sure right now, because I know they're saying that they're going to keep it and they're going to keep their content there, but then you've got the announcement of the HBO Max, which is including the Warner Brothers stuff, and they're going to start showing Doom Patrol on there as well. So no one really knows what's going on with it right now. And after Disney just pretty much changed the game, announcing Disney Plus and the price point at $13 for Hulu Plus, ESPN Plus, and all of Disney's content, who knows what these other companies are going to do, because that's going to put Netflix on notice. That's gonna change the game. Disney pretty much just changed the game overnight when it comes to streaming.
Well, for those of you who want to play or that are in the spec game, be on the lookout for those Teen Titans 2 again.
I was trying to buy one from Jesse today.
Yeah, for all those that haven't seen it yet, it's another spoiler, but you know how we treat spoilers on here. Go fuck yourself. The end of the trailer, it shows Deathstroke.
Do you really think that's going to do much for the price of that book, seeing as he's already been in Arrow a handful of times? He was seen at the end of the Justice, or he was seen at the end of the Justice League, right? And then
every one of those, that book shot up. It's not like it went, every one of those, that book shot up. So I don't see why it wouldn't shoot up again. And if this character is played out and they don't kill him off like they do in Marvel movies, it could be really. I think Deathstroke is one of the best villains out of any villain. So if they play it out right, and we're probably gonna see Rose. So that first appearance of Rose, Deathstroke 12, I think it is. First appearance of Rose, that's probably going to shoot up again.
Well, this will be the first time we see Crypto in anything live action, right?
Yeah. So Chuck, if you're listening, man, that Crypto book just got even better. Pretty amazing to out of that collection. We pulled out the first Crypto and the second Crypto, I think. So that's already a book that's just way out of range.
It'll be the first live action. Well, no, it's not the first live action Superboy, because they had a Superboy TV show.
But it's the first I think it's the first live action Superboy Ken doll Superboy. You see that where he jumped out?
Yeah.
It's got no junk. So I thought that was
the black shirt one, or
yeah, it's the black shirt one.
Okay.
I mean, I got to say something real quick to everybody. To everybody out there, I'm drinking Bullet and Coke. Cheers to everybody. Have a drink.
Oh, man, I'm drinking Captain and Coke, but I swear there's no Coke in this. Jeez, lady.
Cool. Let the drinking begin.
Cheers.
Kind of to Segu, onto some more DC stuff. It's the
Here comes the hate messages in the chat. It's segue.
Yeah.
It's segue.
Yeah. Kevin Conroy is he's gonna be Batman in the Batman Beyond version of the Crisis event.
Not just him, but Mark Hamill is going to be the Joker too.
Exactly. So we got two very cool actors, iconic actors for those roles, reprising. It's so funny that we got Mark Hamill as the Joker, and then Mark Hamill. What was that other character?
The Trickster.
The Trickster.
Mm-hmm.
So you gotta love that. I really love how they're using Mark Hamill and a lot of this other stuff. He's kind of become, cool again, and I think that's cool.
Again,
right?
Cool.
Well, he kind of fell off there for a little bit when he was doing like video games.
He'll always be cool.
I just love the fact that it's still like, because they announced Kevin Conroy as Batman in this, it sparked the we're gonna get a Batman Beyond TV show where he's gonna be old man Bruce Wayne, and Terry McGinnis, and every time they announce something, it just sparks that speculation of Terry McGinnis, and when are we getting a Batman Beyond? And Just like
because people love that book.
it
They love
launches
that
everything.
I had a collection that had 1 through 20 in it, and they were really nice.
Well, the book to look out for is a book that Kyle picked up about a year ago, I think. It's the Six Flags variant.
Yep.
That they gave out free at Six Flags, and it's stamped Six Flags on it, so keep an eye out for that one.
Offer up.
Yep. And then I want to say the Ink appearance. The first appearance of Ink is also another one.
There's something I wanted to ask you real quick, Brian. Someone was telling me about this the other day, and I wasn't sure if it was true or not. Do you know if CGC is actually labeling the Joker Who Laughs book the first appearance of Jim Gordon as Batman Beyond?
I don't know. I can look it up. I mean, so what is that? The Batman Who Laughs #1?
No, I can't remember which issue it is. I think it's number 4 or number 5.
You know, Anthony, you sling a lot of books.
I wanted to say that sounds right, but now I'm second guessing myself. But I think you're right, because it was book 4 that he has the where they're reminiscing about the other versions. Does that sound right?
Number 6.
Was it 6?
Yeah, the Cape Crusader has his hands full with comics, title villain, Scott Snyder and Jock's Batman Laugh #6. Yeah, and it talks about Jim Gordon along with his son James. Yeah, Grim Knight or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, so it looks like that's it. Who's the new Batman Beyond? And it shows Jim Gordon in the Batman Beyond suit.
Which Grim Knight?
I don't know.
I just picked up Grim Knight issue 1, 9.8, and it's the homage to Batman 423.
Ah, badass.
I got that, and I bought a Lady Death homage to Batman 423.
So I went through that Slabbed Heroes site to get that Grim Knight one. So if you guys don't know about Slabbed Heroes, that's another cool site where you can get new books that are coming out. They'll like allocate so many copies for 9.8 sales, and they'll send them out, and you can buy 9.8s for like $50. So keep an eye on that page. Yeah, that's a great cover. Anytime I see a McFarlane homage, I'm game.
Speaking of CGC, so just an update for everyone. So after my bullshit with CGC, I reported them to the Better Business Bureau, and within 35 to 40 minutes, they emailed me back saying that they were going to honor my Fast Pass finally.
What show is that? I'll go back and watch that.
After all the bullshit.
So let me ask you, did they say what the grade was going to be?
No, they haven't said anything about the grade yet. But the only other thing is, I'm speculation is that they replaced the book, because when I log into my account, it says that they insured it for $200, and that they told me they were not going to do the pressing because there was no noticeable damage. So I'm kind of wondering if they did replace the book.
Fuck yeah, they should have. I mean, if they didn't, that's complete shit. But
that's on them.
Yeah. If they drop the book, they need to replace it. So, period. That's unfortunate if that's caused that bad of damage to make them do that. But if they're a good company, they'll honor it.
Yeah.
Yep. They'll honor it. So let's talk about the big news about this Thanos theory. We're all hearing about all these rumors about Eternals and Galactus coming and all that stuff, and we got the Devourer of Worlds theories. What is this theory about Thanos and the Devourer of Worlds?
So the theory is like going that Thanos had a backup plan. So he went ahead, and when he snapped the second time in Endgame to destroy the Infinity Stones, that he had a backup plan, and in doing so, his backup plan was to make sure that, you know, his fight to bring balance to the world would not be undone. Thanos's. You want me to scream it like Tim just did in the chat?
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not gonna scream it. But Thanos.
Scream what?
Thanos. Bring me Thanos. Thanos' fight to bring balance was never undone. That he created. His backup plan was basically Galactus, when he did the second snap, creating
So
Galactus.
See, I would be cool with. I don't like that. I'd be cool with if his snap was the butterfly effect that brought the Devourer of Worlds. I don't like that Thanos put it in motion because Galactus is way bigger than Thanos. You know what I mean?
I think
Galactus.
Well, to bring the Galactus in, if you try to bring him in his comic book form, they're gonna have to retcon stuff that was brought up in Doctor Strange, because they talk about how the Big Bang happened and that the Infinity Stones helped form the galaxy and all that. So if you go with the original storyline behind Galactus, you kind of have to retcon back that a little bit and set up that there was a galaxy and worlds before our galaxy was created.
I thought this was more of because of the snap, this was a repercussion.
No,
and this is something that was created because of it. That's kind of how I interpret it.
That's a good way to interpret it, but the way the fan theory is
the snap is
the way
the second snap.
Yeah. But the way the fan theory is laying it out is that when Thanos did the second snap, he put in place, he had a backup plan, and in doing so, he created his backup plan was Galactus.
Huh.
So
he thought about it, envisioned it, and said,
yeah,
a huge planet-eating motherfucker that's purple.
If that's the case, I'm cool with it because that means that we're gonna have Galactus and Darkseid both at the same time.
But I like your theory your direction with it way more, Brian, because and Kyle's too. If it's a repercussion that attracts him to us, it would explain why he's got heralds, and it's a great way to bring in the Silver Surfer, and it's a great way to do all that, because retconning a little bit and explaining, oh well, he was just a mortal person from a time before our universe was created, who was basically put into limbo and slumber, and when he woke up, he the cosmic energy forced him to want to eat worlds for sustenance. It's
kind of crazy to think that with the rumors of Galactus, we got the Eternals coming, and the rumors of Darkseid being the next big villain in DC. Those are all three Jack Kirby creations showing up all at the same time.
That's cool.
That's crazy.
The only one I don't buy into is Darkseid, because of the way what DC do, or the way DC's moving everything around. I don't think you're going to get Darkseid. I don't think it's happening.
Well, I think they saw. I think they saw what Thanos did in Avengers, and they went, "We need a Thanos." And who's like a Thanos-like character in DC? It's Darkseid, and they already brought in his heralds.
But they scrapped that. That timeline's done. They're not going to move forward with another Justice League movie. So everything's separate.
That. But I mean, people have an idea about what he is and who he is. You know what I mean? So they don't have to explain it.
Well, where are they going to bring him in? They're going to throw him in just someone else's movie, or they're going to have to recast and do another Superman movie for him? I mean, how would you introduce him?
Did any of you guys hear that rumor that he was coming, and where they were saying he was showing up?
I'm not a big rumor guy.
Yeah.
Oh man, Kyle, you're the man. Oh my gosh.
Oh man. I'm not sure what book that was. At the end. One thing that we were talking about earlier with Anthony was Donny Cates stuff. Anthony, tell us about your cool story about Donny Cates.
Oh yeah, so these super sexy Birdcity comic shirts. We sent them out to a couple of our customers, and he met Donny Cates, and we sent him an extra. Didn't know he was going to meet Donny Cates, but sent him some extra tees because the guy's awesome. And he sent me a photo, and it's him and his wife with Donny Cates, and he's got one of our Birdcity comic shirts, which is freaking amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's super awesome.
Yeah, he asked what are these guys about? And he's like, oh, we got you a shirt. And he asked a couple of real simple questions, but he was starstruck besides saying, they're cool. That's all we got.
Yeah.
Better than nothing.
Yeah, well, right, I'll take it.
With all the craziness surrounding, the God Butcher and that sword, that Necro sword, and how he's using that, and the whole is that's come up in the Carnage stuff? Has that come up in the Carnage stuff yet?
Venom mostly. So
okay.
Just the Cates Venom run that I've seen a lot of it in.
So that's still crazy. Some of those books, those old school books that
the Carnage, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was the Thor, God of Thunder, the Jason. Is that the Jason Aaron run?
That's the Aaron run. It was what book 2 and 6, and there was another one in there that they called together.
That's one of the best runs and storylines in Thor you will ever read. I'll put it up. I'll put that up there with some of the great, Simonson stuff and some of that stuff. That God of Thunder run is absolutely amazing.